What if I told you the secret to lasting profitability wasn't something you discovered, but something you discarded? Most traders spend their entire careers building a fortress of analysis, convinced the answer lies in the next layer of complexity. The pros. They spent that same time tearing walls down, starting with the ones in their own mind. Today, I'll show you the 3 ego executions every real trader endures. You cannot bypass a single one. The tuition for trying is paid not in dollars, but in pieces of yourself. For 30 years, I've watched brilliant people, doctors, engineers, CEOs, walk into this arena. They brought the very intelligence that built their previous lives. And I watched the market, with perfect indifference, strip it all away. It's not unfair. It's impartial. And that impartiality is a mirror most people can't bear to look into. You've been sold a partial truth about trading success. The talk is always about edges. Entries, exits, it's all necessary, and it's all utterly insufficient. Here's the silent part. You can possess a mathematically flawless edge and still be bankrupted by the person in the mirror. You can see the path with crystal clarity and still choose to walk into the thorns. Trading isn't a puzzle to be solved. It's a persona to be dissolved. You're in a cycle. You gain a new insight. It works for a time. Then you inexplicably betray your own plan. You hesitate. You chase. You override. You freeze. Afterwards, you vow to be stronger. You tighten your rules. Then the cycle repeats. The hard fact. This isn't a lapse in willpower. You aren't lacking grit. This is an architecture problem. You're operating with a psychology engineered for a world of linearity and reward. Your mind is built to confirm, to defend, to rationalize. Every brilliant adaptation for a predictable world becomes a fatal flaw in an uncertain one. Consistent profits don't bloom from gathering more information. They rise from the ashes of 3 specific relinquishments. Letting go of the need to be right. Letting go of the need to be in charge. Letting go of the need to be validated. These aren't choices you make one morning. They are transformations the market grinds you through in a specific, non-negotiable sequence. You can't cheat the curriculum. But once you see the stages for what they are, the struggle loses its sting. You stop fighting ghosts and start navigating the real terrain. By the end of this, you'll reframe your entire history, not as a string of failures, but as the required curriculum. You'll see why your most painful lessons weren't accidents, but assignments. This is the repeated story, told in 10,000 trading journals. Let me tell you about Anya. She traded for 6 months with phenomenal results. Her transition to real money was seamless. For weeks, she compounded gains. She had the stats, the charts, the flawless log. Then came a week of chop. The market went nowhere, but her account bled 30%. She hadn't made a single mistake by her old definitions. Anya didn't fail because the market changed. The market always changes. Anya failed because she'd confused a calm sea for sailing skill. Her entire model was based on clear, directional momentum. When that vanished, she kept applying force, believing the problem was her analysis, not her context. The market didn't break her system. It revealed her system only worked in one weather pattern. She was a fair weather sailor who thought she'd mastered the ocean. She quit to refine her strategy, forever chasing the perfect condition. Here's a metaphor. Imagine learning to walk a tightrope. You practice over a net. Your focus is on technique, posture, balance, gaze. But the first time you raise that rope over a canyon, everything changes. The technique is identical. The context has rewritten the entire experience. Trading is that canyon. The mechanics, the entries, the stops are the technique. The void beneath you, that's your psychology. Most people practice over the net forever, wondering why they freeze at the edge. The stages we walk through. The 3 ego executions aren't about perfecting your form on the practice line. They're about learning to walk while accepting the abyss. What if the thing that truly terrifies you isn't losing money, but losing the story of who you thought you were? What if the canyon isn't made of market volatility, but of your own unresolved need for the world to make sense? These stages aren't setbacks. They are promotions. Stage 1, the execution of the expert. This is where talent goes to die. You enter believing that superior intellect, research, or work ethic will grant you foresight. That's the model for every other profession. Input determines output. Then you place a trade. The market's first duty is to shatter that illusion. Without mercy. You will take losses on your most researched, conviction-filled ideas. You will watch profits rain down on trades you took on a whim, breaking every principle you hold. This will create a special kind of madness, because your ego is built on the bedrock of competency. But the market isn't a test of competency. It's a kaleidoscope of collective madness and genius, and you cannot dance with that chaos until you bury the expert within you. I remember reviewing a trader's journal, every trade meticulously notated with a reason. For the outcome, the beautiful, color-coded journal with its detailed annotations told a story of frustration. Where his highest confidence trades, the ones where the chart seemed so clear he could see exactly how it would play out, lost more often than his medium confidence ones. The problem was his certainty itself, because when something looks obvious to you, it's likely obvious to everyone else. And when everyone agrees, the market has no one left to push in that direction. His confidence, built on clarity, was his downfall, because clarity in markets is often an illusion. This is the central paradox. The moment you accept you can't know what happens next is the moment you become capable of making money consistently, because you stop trading your predictions and start trading your process. You shift from saying, "I know this will work," to "I have an edge that works over time." And this is one execution of it, detaching from individual outcomes and trusting the statistical distribution of many. Think of a casino. It doesn't know if the next roulette spin will be red or black, nor does it care, because it's betting on thousands of spins where the math favors it. That's probability thinking. The emotional truth is you're not losing because you don't know enough. You're losing because you're still trying to know, still trying to predict, still asking the chart to tell you the future. And every time you do, you give your power away. But if you can't know, how do you pull the trigger with confidence? That's stage 2, where you realize you can't control the market either. Intellectually you know it, but emotionally you still act like you have control, moving stops, exiting early, micromanaging every tick, believing perfect execution will bend outcomes. Each adjustment is an act of control driven by fear, and the market punishes fear with surgical precision. You move a stop because price drifts against you, changing your risk post-entry, or you take profit early out of fear of reversal, only to watch the trade hit your original target without you. Each time, you tell yourself you see something now you couldn't see when you made your plan, but most often the moment adjustment is fear masquerading as intuition, eroding trust in your edge. The paradox is you gain control by giving it up to side entry, exit, and risk in advance, then execute without emotion, letting the market do what it will. In that surrender, you find real control over yourself, your execution, your consistency. I once worked with a brilliant trader who understood market structure deeply, but couldn't make money because he couldn't let a trade breathe. When he finally agreed to close the chart after placing stop and target, his win rate rose because he stopped interfering, letting his edge work. If you can't know and can't control what's left, that's stage 3, where you must stop being afraid of loss, not intellectually, but viscerally, in your nervous system. Until a red trade triggers nothing and a stop, loss means nothing about you. Most traders think they've accepted risk because they use a stop, but accepting risk and being unafraid of loss are worlds apart. You can risk 1% and still be terrified of being wrong, feeling every loss as a referendum on your worth. This fear runs everything. It makes you skip trades, take profit early, hesitate, check your balance constantly, lose sleep. Stage 3 is realizing a loss is not failure. It's data, the market saying, not this time, nothing more. When you stop interpreting loss as rejection, you stop hesitating, second-guessing, and attaching your identity to outcomes. One trader realized, "I'm not afraid of losing money, I'm afraid of feeling stupid." Once he named that, he could start saying before each trade, "This might not work, and that's okay." The paradox is traders who fear loss the least make the most money because they're free to execute, be wrong, and move on without emotional weight. To move through these stages, first name your stage, review your last 10 trades for deviations. Did you skip trades needing certainty? That's stage 1. Did you move stops or exit early trying to control? That's stage 2. Did you avoid trading or revenge trade due to fear of loss? That's stage 3. Second, reframe one loss, take your worst recent trade and write, "This loss taught me," but go deeper than strategy. What did it show about your psychology? Did it teach you you're trying to control, or afraid of looking stupid, or trading to prove something? Third, practice the pause before your next trade. Breathe for 5 seconds and ask if you're taking it because your edge says to, or because you need to prove something. If it's not pure edge execution, don't take it. Readiness is honesty, not courage. The best traders take fewer trades because they wait for the intersection of opportunity and emotional clarity, mastering the art of waiting when they're not in the right headspace. This is the work surrendering certainty, control, and fear, so trading becomes simple, not easy, but a process you execute, letting the math work over time. free from the need to know, control, or avoid loss. Fourth thing, set an identity-free goal for the next 20 trades. And I mean this literally, write this down. For the next 20 trades, don't track profit and loss. Don't look at your account balance. Don't calculate your win rate. Track one thing, execution. Did you follow your plan? Yes or no? That's the only score that matters right now. Not how much you made, not how much you lost. Did you do what you said you'd do? Because if you can execute 20 times in a row without attachment to the outcome, if you can take 20 trades where you genuinely don't care if each individual one wins or loses, you've already graduated. You've already moved through the hardest part. You've proven to yourself that you can separate your ego from your execution. And that's the whole game. That's what profitable traders do that losing traders don't. They execute their process regardless of how they feel, regardless of what happened on the last trade, regardless of whether they feel confident or scared. They just execute. And here's what's going to happen. Some of those 20 trades will lose. And you're going to want to care. You're going to want to feel bad about it, to question yourself, to adjust something. Don't just mark it down, followed plan. Yes, move on. And some of those trades will win. And you're going to want to feel good about it, to feel validated, to feel like you figured it out. Don't just mark it down, followed plan. Yes, move on. You're training yourself to be neutral, to be a clean executive. And that neutrality is worth more than any strategy, any indicator, any edge you could ever develop. Let's bring this home. You started this video thinking you were looking for a strategy, a secret, some piece of information that would finally make it click. Some indicator, combination, or chart pattern, or risk management formula that would be the missing piece. And I get it. That's what we're all looking for when we start. The thing that'll make it make sense. The thing that'll give us an edge. The thing that'll let us win. But what I've shown you today is something different, something harder, and something more true. You don't need more knowledge. You need more death. You need the death of certainty, the death of control, the death of avoidance. And I know how that sounds. Nobody wants to hear that the path forward requires losing parts of themselves. Nobody wants to sign up for psychological demolition. We want the easy way, the fast way, the way that doesn't hurt. But there isn't one. There never was. And anyone who tells you different is selling you something. Here's the reframe that changes everything. You're not losing yourself. You're not being destroyed. You're losing the illusions you built to protect yourself from uncertainty. And those illusions were never you. They were armor. You built them because the world felt scary and you needed to feel safe. You needed to feel like you could predict what was coming. You needed to feel like you had control. You needed to feel like you could avoid pain. And those needs made perfect sense. They kept you alive. They kept you functioning. But armor is heavy and you can't move freely in it. And in trading, if you can't move freely, if you can't adapt, if you can't flow with what the market's showing you, you can't win. So what's happening in these 3 stages isn't loss. It's liberation. You're being freed from the weight of needing to know. You're being freed from the exhaustion of trying to control. You're being freed from the prison of avoiding loss. And on the other side, when you've been through all 3, you're lighter. You're faster. You're more fluid. You're more present. You're not carrying the weight anymore. You're just trading. If you're in stage 1 right now, stuck in analysis paralysis, needing to know before you act, feeling like you can't pull the trigger until you're certain, you're not indecisive. You're not a coward. You're on the edge of liberation. You're standing at the threshold of something profound. The moment you stop trying to predict and start trusting probability, everything shifts. You stop waiting for perfect. You start executing your edge. And you realize that the confidence you were waiting for doesn't come before the action. It comes after. It comes from executing again and again and seeing that you can handle whatever happens. If you're in stage 2, micromanaging every tick, moving stops, exiting early, getting back in, trying to optimize every single trade, you're not undisciplined. You're not doing it wrong. You're learning the difference between control and surrender. And surrender isn't weakness. Surrender isn't giving up. Surrender is the ultimate strength. It's saying, I've done my part, I've made my plan, I've executed my process. Now I'm going to trust it and let go. That's power. That's mastery. And you're closer to it than you think. If you're in stage 3, avoiding trades because you can't stomach another loss, feeling sick before you click the button, lying awake thinking about your open positions, beating yourself up for every mistake, you're not broken. You're not fragile. You're one reframe away from fearless. Because the second you see loss as tuition instead of failure, the second you understand that every stopout is just the cost of doing business, the second you realize that being wrong doesn't mean anything about you, you become unteachable by pain. You become someone who can try again and again and again without carrying the weight of the past. And that person is unstoppable. Here's what I want you to remember, and I want you to say this out loud if you're alone right now. I want you to hear yourself say it. I am not my wins. I am not my losses. I am the person who shows up, executes, and learns. The market doesn't owe me certainty. It doesn't owe me control. It doesn't owe me comfort. And I don't need any of those things to be profitable. I just need to be willing to become someone new. I just need to be willing to let go of who I was and step into who I'm becoming. And I'm willing. I'm ready. Even if I'm scared, even if it hurts, I'm willing to walk through these stages. I'm willing to be demolished and rebuilt, because on the other side is freedom. And freedom is worth the price. If this video resonated, if you felt something shift even slightly, even just a crack in the armor, do me a favor. Hit that like button, not for me, not for the algorithm, for yourself. Because that small action, that tiny gesture, is you acknowledging something. It's you saying, I'm ready to see trading differently. I'm ready to stop fighting and start surrendering. I'm ready to move through these stages instead of resisting them. And that acknowledgement matters. It's the first step, and every journey starts with the first step. Drop a comment telling me which stage you're in right now. Stage 1, 2, or 3. No judgment, no shame, just awareness, just honesty. Because the traders who can name where they are always move faster than the ones still pretending. The ones who can say, I'm in stage 1. I'm still addicted to certainty. They're already halfway through it. The ones who can say, I'm in stage 2. I'm still trying to control everything. They're already loosening their grip. The ones who can say, I'm in stage 3. I'm terrified of loss. They're already facing their fear. And facing it is how you move through it. And if you want more of this, more psychology, more truth, more maps through the terrain nobody talks about, hit that subscribe button, because I'm not here to sell you indicators. I'm not here to show you chart patterns. I'm not here to promise you easy money. I'm here to help you become the kind of person who doesn't need those things. I'm here to walk you through the transformation that every profitable trader has to go through. I'm here to tell you the truth about what this journey actually requires. And if you want that, if you want someone who's going to be honest with you even when the truth is uncomfortable, then you're in the right place. You're not broken. You've just been misled. You've been told that trading is about finding the right strategy when it's really about becoming the right person. You've been told that discipline is about forcing yourself to follow rules when it's really about healing the wounds that make you break them. You've been told that consistency is about repetition when it's really about surrender. And now you know different. Now you have the map. Now you understand the territory, and that understanding changes everything. Now go become who the market needs you to be, not who you think you should be, not who your ego wants you to be. Who the market needs you to be. Someone who can sit with uncertainty without needing to know. Someone who can execute without needing to control. Someone who can lose without it meaning anything. That person is already inside you. These 3 stages just burn away everything that's in the way. And yes, it hurts. And yes, it's scary. And yes, it's worth it. Because on the other side is the trader you came here to become. And that trader is waiting for you. So go meet them.